Hey, good evening or good morning, everyone. Thanks for coming. I'm Sam, and I'm going to be your moderator today for the Pixel Project Hangout. This is the 9th Google Hangout session of the 2nd Annual International Women's Day edition for our Read for Pixels campaign. So, through Read for Pixels, the Pixel Project is collaborating with 11 award-winning female authors to raise awareness about violence against women and to raise funds towards the Celebrity Male Role Model Pixel Project Reading campaign. We're aiming to raise $1 million to be shared between the United States' National Coalition Against Domestic Violence and the Pixel Project to keep their efforts to end violence against women alive. So at the end of our session today, we're going to be telling you a bit more about the goodies that we're offering for you guys in terms of funding and donations. And if you want to find out more about the Pixel Project, visit thepixelproject.net. So today, we've got a really special guest. We've got a live discussion and Q&A session with Colleen Houck, the author of the Tiger series, and also the books The Shining Girls and Broken Monsters. And for the Pixel Project, Colleen has donated 2 super cool goodie packs, and which is like a stash of awesome things and author goodies. And these are up for grabs at the Read for Pixel Indiegogo fundraising page. And I'll give the address to you guys at the end of our session. So the 2 bundles that we have from Colleen is the Tiger's Curse Feel Good Bundle, which has a limited edition Tiger's Curse set, plus a Sephora sampler pack, which is like awesome because I love Sephora. And that has been picked up by Chanel Carter. So thanks a lot, Chanel. And the second bundle is the Reawakened Traveler's Luxury Bundle. So it's got a signed hardcover copy of Reawakened, plus a lot of awesome things, including a BCBG purse, an infinity scarf, sunglasses, a Maybelline travel pack, and comfy indoor slippers. Like, I really wish that I could get my hands on this actually. But no, I'll leave it to you guys. So please give generously because all the funds go towards the Pixel Project Celebrity Male Role Model Pixel Reveal campaign to help end violence against women. So I'm going to hand it over to Colleen now, who's going to do a live reading from A Tiger's Dream. And I'm sure she'd like to give a little shout out to Chanel for being such a supportive donor. So Colleen, I'm going to put you on now.
Okay.
Okay.
Hi, yes. So definitely a shout out to Chanel for picking up that prize pack. That's pretty amazing. And if you're interested in the Reawaken prize packs, you guys, that is available. So very, very exciting. So yes, I am going to be doing a reading tonight from Tiger's Dream. And this is very exciting. This has not been shared yet. So even if you have gotten a hold of the print edition of Tiger's Promise with the prequel of Tiger's Dream in the back, this is actually after the prequel. So this comes from chapter 1. So this is not, I've not shared this with anyone. So this is just for you guys out there who are supporting this charity. So are you ready? Here we go. Okay, so just to give you a little heads up, this scene is in Kishan's perspective. So he's the narrator here. Okay, here we go. Fet emphasized, Durga must fulfill her purpose. Generations of people will be influenced by her. Without a companion, she will be left alone, and the world as we know it will change utterly. A tiger is meant to embrace this life. I knew from my bond with Anamika that even then she hated the idea of posing as a goddess, destiny or not. And I knew that without someone at her side, she'd likely head back to India and give up on the life of the goddess. Rubbing my hands across my face, I suggested, why can't her brother stay with her? Her brother is a part of her human life. She must step into the role of an immortal, see to her duty, and leave thoughts of her past behind. Fet knew more than he was sharing. That much was always true. So when he said Sunil needed to leave his sister, I didn't question it further. Rin seemed to come to the same conclusion because he nodded and answered, "Then I will stay and serve, but only if Kelsey remains as well." Adamantly, Fet shook his head. Kelsey's path lies in the future. The old monk headed off to console Kelsey and left me alone with my brother. "She's my fiancée," I began. "I loved her first, Kishan." "Yes, but you walked away." "It was a mistake, one I don't plan on making again." The two of us went back and forth for a few minutes trying to convince the other to stay, but neither of us budged. Fet returned and told us a choice needed to be made soon, and as he said it, he gave me a look that suggested I should end this. What did that mean? Was he trying to tell me I should be the one to give in, to give up the girl I loved? Or maybe he meant I was the one who understood the calling of Durga, who had the connection. I shifted uncomfortably. Desperately, I whispered to Ren, "You know what I've seen, what my vision in the Grove of Dreams showed me." Ren nodded reluctantly. I pressed, "If I stay behind, then Kelsey's son will..." I glanced around to see if anyone was listening. No one was. They seemed to be giving us a private moment. "Her son will never be born," I finished with a whisper. "You don't know that," Ren stubbornly affirmed. "He had my eyes, Ren. Mine." Ren looked away as if it pained him to see the proof of Kelsey's future son in my direct gaze. Instead, he said softly, "You owe me, brother." I sucked in a breath as his words spun in my mind. I owed him. Did I? I thought back on what I'd done, how I'd betrayed him by not only stealing his fiancée, Yesubai, but by endangering his life and our kingdom. Then with Kelsey, I'd pressed her, kissed her when I knew she still had feelings for Ren. I tried to be noble later on and promised her that she could decide the terms of our relationship, but when I finally had her, I knew I would never let her go, no matter the circumstances. I did owe Ren, but I just couldn't bring myself to give him the girl I loved. I glanced at the group and noticed Kelsey was missing. "Where is she?" I asked Fet. "She mourns for the one she believes will stay behind," Fet replied. My body stilled and I cocked my head, listening to the sounds of her soft weeping. Her heartbreak carried through the forest as clearly as if she was standing right next to me. All I wanted was to go to her, stop her tears, heal her hurt. I took a step forward and then hesitated. Suddenly I realized two things. The first was that I knew who she was crying for. She believed that Ren would stay with Durga. When I'd taken on the role of my great aunt Sachi, Kelsey had confessed her feelings about Ren's so-called heroic tendencies. What she didn't know was that my brother much preferred the company of diplomats over warriors. The only reason he leapt into the breach time and time again was because he was crazy in love with my fiancée. The second thing I realized was that my brother had been attuned to her and had heard her crying long before I'd even realized she was gone. His overblown sensitivity towards Kelsey verged on the irritating. Was I always to compete with my brother? Shrugging off my insecurities over Ren, I listened to the woman I loved weep. How could I leave her? Another part of my mind whispered, how could I not? The weight of the world suddenly seemed as if it fell upon my shoulders, and I was no Atlas with the strength to carry the load. I'd break under the burden. Could I do this? Could I leave her? I acknowledged the fact that she still loved Ren. Her feelings were obvious to anyone who saw them together, but I believed that, given enough time, she'd come to love me just as much, if not more. Remembering how devastated she was when Ren died, how heartbroken she felt when he didn't remember her, and grudgingly of how she reached for him first when we rescued her from Lokesh, left a bitter taste in my mouth. Ren spoke then, distracting me from my thoughts, and said softly as he stared at the trees where she'd gone, I can't live without her, Kishan. So what did that mean? That I should just walk away, forget happiness, forget my future, forget the family I longed for, the one I'd seen in vision? Rubbing my hand over my jaw, I considered my brother. That he loved Kelsey was certain. If I stepped away, I knew he would make her happy. The question was, could Kelsey be happy without Ren? I knew the answer in an instant. No. She'd try her best, but a part of her would always grieve for him. The choice was suddenly obvious. The tiger that stayed behind would have to be me. Okay. So there you go.
Intense.
Very intense. Very intense. Yeah. The decision to leave Keyshawn in the past was a very hard one for me and for all my fans.
How do you think fans will react to that?
To just that reading, or to the fact that he stayed behind in general?
To both.
I think that for me, writing that scene was very cathartic, because I think all of us wanted to know what was going on in Keyshawn's mind, why he would step back and let Kelsey go. And it's very heroic of him, actually. And so writing it is almost as heartbreaking for me in Tiger's Dream, in this little scene where he's remembering what happened. It's almost as heartbreaking for me to re-go through that as it was to have him say goodbye to her in Tiger's Destiny at the end of the book as well. So both of those are very emotional things for me. And I still get a little bit choked up even when I go back and read them today.
There's a lot of family sacrifice actually in your series, I noticed. Like people giving up homes and giving up families, and
it's kind of a theme for me. One of my big things when I write books is that I believe that true love requires sacrifice. And so that's kind of a main theme that runs through everything I write. And so every single book you'll see characters suffering and going through and sacrificing, for the greater good and for love. And in the Egypt series, same thing. You'll see a lot of sacrifices in there of the poor little characters having to give up things that they want for other people. So.
Yeah, I guess it shows a bit of strength in the characters as well, if they have to go through these kind of sacrifices.
Yeah, it's definitely strength, because I think as humans, our number one thing, we want to take care of number one, ourselves before everyone else. And that's not always an easy thing to set aside and to think about other people first. And so I think that's the essence of being a hero, actually, is thinking about others before yourself.
Yeah. I think you can really see that with Kelsey. So.
Yeah. She definitely wants people to be happy. So she puts her own feelings aside a lot of times so that other people can have what they want.
Okay, so what's going to happen now is we're going to have questions for you, Colleen, that we've prepared, and we're going to intersperse it with the fan questions because it's coming in pretty fast, and I'm scared I'm going to miss a few. So it'll be like 1 or 2 of ours and then 1 or 2 of the fan questions. Okay, first off, in the Tiger Saga, so Kelsey finds herself in a lot of unexpected positions and no outside help, so she has to rely on herself. Why did you choose to make Kelsey a self-sufficient character instead of, one that's like, that would usually like rely on like a guy to do everything? Why did you choose to make her like, okay, I'm going to do this?
I think, women especially, we have a hard time recognizing strength in ourselves. And I wanted Kelsey and Kelsey, when we start off in the series, she's already lost her parents. She's lost that support system that most people have. She doesn't have any brothers and sisters. She's lost her birth parents. She does have foster parents. So she's had to learn the tough way how to be self-reliant. And she's already got a little bit of that going into the story. And then as the story unfolds, you have to learn how to, even though my stories are romances, so there's a love in the story, and you rely on each other when you love someone. But Kelsey, she needed to step out of her feelings of comfort, her comfort zone, and risk herself and what she wanted the most so that she could save others. And at her heart, I think she's a very heroic young lady who never wanted power and never wanted to, you know, be this warrior princess thing. She just wanted a family, basically. And that's kind of the theme throughout the Tiger series, is all of those characters actually just wanted to feel like they belonged somewhere. And so that was what drove them all. But yeah, I think it's important to have a character like that is can stand up on yourself, because the more that you can rely upon yourself, the more you bring to a relationship anyway, and the more strength you're going to be able to lend to that relationship. So that was always very important to me, that my heroines are very self-actualized young women, which is not always common at that age. In fact, it's probably very uncommon. I wasn't that way at that age. It took me a long time for me to feel like I was, you know, strong and self-actualized, and that I had any talents to share with the world. So yeah, I think that's an important theme for me to get across to my readers.
Yeah, I think that's really great, because our next question is actually, what do you hope your younger readers will take away when they see a practical, independent, resourceful female protagonist that, like you say, it's not common both in literature and also in real life.
Right. It's not as common in real life, which is, it's sad, because actually the young women that I meet, like when I go out on tour, who come up to me, and I look at these girls, and they are strong and they're beautiful and they're so smart, and not everybody feels like they are, even if they actually are. They have those characteristics, but they view the world through the negative qualities they see about themselves instead of what's really good. And so, yeah, so I'm glad that we have a lot of, especially in young adult literature today, in today's world, we see a lot of heroines that are very, very admirable young women who, you know, will stand up and save their family and save the world, and, you know, and still can be happy and still be girls, and that's okay. And I think particularly in the genre of young adult, you see that more than anywhere else, which I'm very excited about. I'm very thrilled to be a part of that genre and being able to show that to the world.
Yes, and your fans are like pretty thrilled too, because we've got a bunch of questions, and I just want to let the fans know that what we're going to do is we're going to do the questions that have the highest votes. So if you guys want a question to be answered, please vote for it. It'll go to the top, and then I'll select it. So our first fan question is from Chanel Carter, actually. Is Tiger's Dream supposed to be a Christian point of view?
Ooh, that's a good question. I actually have avoided answering that question because I'm not sure I want people to know yet. There are definitely some scenes that are in Kishan's point of view. The prologue is Kishan's point of view, and this scene I just read is Kishan's point of view. But I'm kind of waiting to tell you that. Okay. I didn't want you to know yet. It's kind of still a surprise. So, but most of my books are written in, I've only written one book so far that is in third person. Tiger's Dream is still a work in progress. I've only written up to chapter 8 in that book so far. I've got to finish my book 3 in the Reawaken series is my current project. And then as soon as that one's done and turned in, then I'm turning my attention to Tiger's Dream. We're going to get that one done and published. So my expectation is that I will finish Tiger's Dream the second half of this year. So there might be more scenes coming from Kishan's perspective, but maybe not. So I don't want to answer yet. It's not done yet, so I can't really tell you.
So it'll be published next year?
No, once it's written, it takes a while to get published. So my guess is that we will probably be publishing Tiger's Dream in spring of 2018 is my guess.
Okay. All right, everyone, you're going to have to live in suspense. So let's go on to the next question.
I definitely do teasers as I'm writing, so you'll know that it's in the process and it's in the works and that it's coming, and you'll know.
Is there a website or blog that people can check up on?
You can always go to my website and I put up information, but I usually do teasers on Facebook every Tuesday. I do Teaser Tuesday where I put a little clip of what I'm currently writing. So you'll know when I'm writing Tiger's Dream because I'll put hashtag Tiger's Dream. So you'll know that that's what I'm working on right at that time.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So we'll come back to our question, which is,
Okay.
you presented Kelsey as not so much the stereotypical pretty girl who can, who's perfect in every way kind of thing. I mean, the guys find her attractive, but she herself doesn't really find herself attractive. So in setting herself up that way, were you intending to show that like every girl deserves to be loved and respected by the man in her life? She doesn't have to be skinny and blonde and perfect.
Yes, definitely. And that's definitely something I believe. I believe 100% that, that if I'm sitting at home all day and I don't have my makeup done, which is almost every day, and my hair is not done, and you still deserve to have people love you, and you don't have to look like a Hollywood movie star to deserve people to treat you with respect. And so that's always been very important to me. And when I started out writing Kelsey, I actually wanted a heroine that I could relate to more than anyone else. And so Kelsey's a lot like me. And I gave her my love of chocolate and biscuits and gravy. And so, I would expect that Kelsey will gain weight when she's, in her 30s and 40s, be a chubby girl again. And I don't see anything wrong with that. I think that, women of all shapes and sizes can equally be beautiful and attractive and that are worthy of love and, respect from their peers. And so, yeah, that was an important piece for me. I wanted to have a heroine that I could relate to. Yeah, and I even later in the series in Tiger's Voyage, I wrote a girl who was very anti that. She was like a supermodel, very spoiled young rich girl who, and you can kind of tell in how I write her that I have a hard time finding good things about that character to write, throwing herself at my heroes and such. But yeah, I wanted to make sure that my heroes in particular, when Kelsey is feeling insecure about her body during that scene, that Keyshawn, makes her feel like, hey, it's totally fine, and I think you're beautiful, and I think that's a good thing. So yeah, I wanted Kelsey to be a real girl. I didn't want her to be a supermodel girl. I wanted her to be a real girl.
In terms of like a real girl, in real life. I mean, like, because she's not just like someone who they find attractive. She's also someone who does things. She's proactive, and how important do you think it is for young men to read instances of women and girls that are treated with respect by male characters for their skills and their abilities rather than just the way they look? How important is this for young men?
It's very important. It's very important. Young women today are so they have so much strength inside them. I'm often shocked when that strength is set aside, or that person is overlooked because they don't have a certain look or a certain way of talking or a certain hairstyle or whatever. I think it's amazing. When I was in high school, I was growing up, I wasn't running with a popular crowd by any means. In fact, I didn't often have anybody to sit with me at lunch. I just sat by myself, or sometimes, sadly, I just would sit with my teachers and eat lunch. So it's important to have friends, and it's important to reach out to people and to make them feel like they're worth your time and they're worth your attention. And that's something I want to do, especially when I go out in public and I do appearances at schools and things. I think it's very important to talk to kids about it's okay to to be different. And often those differences you'll come to embrace later on in your life. You don't like them when you're a teenager, but later in your life, you know, those are going to give you an edge. Those things are going to make you a storyteller. And you know, what's funny is when I was in high school, I remember sitting in the back of my class, because I would hide out in the back of my class in the last row so that nobody would look at me, you know, and nobody would call on me and nobody would be looking at my back or whatever, because I was paranoid about that. And I would sit there when the teachers would teach, and I had all these comments running in my brain, like funny comments or sarcastic comments, or just comments that showed that I was thinking and that I was, you know, learning my lesson. And I was too scared to speak out. I was too scared. I would sit there and be quiet and say nothing, because I was too nervous to get negative attention. And so, but all those things, I think, were my writer mentality. I was training myself how to write and how to respond to people. And so when I'm writing, I can do that. And now I can do that in public very easily. But at that time, I couldn't. I had a hard time, you know, standing out and having people look at me and judge me. So to me, it's very important that young people know that they're in a safe place where it's okay to speak your mind, and that you can stand up and that you can be heard, and that your voice is equally as important as anybody else's in the room. So I think that's important. Yeah, kind of went off there.
No, but it was really good. I mean, when we hear personal experiences from authors themselves, it's really good for the younger readers to know that, you know, not everyone starts out perfect and famous
Sure.
and things like that. Yeah.
Nobody does, really.
Yeah.
If you do, you've peaked early, and that's sad.
It's hope for everyone.
Yeah.
We've got an interesting question from Kyla Den.
Okay.
So she's asking Colleen, what made you decide to center the series around India? Have you been there since you were able to describe everything in such fantastic detail? Also, I'm in love with your writing and the way you're able to make the reader feel like they're actually there.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, with India, I didn't actually start out wanting to write about India. I knew I wanted handsome princes because I love handsome princes and fairy tales. And so, and I knew I didn't want to write about vampires or werewolves because those have been done, and nobody wants to kiss a gnome or a troll. And so I was thinking about what kind of a supernatural creature could I have, and I couldn't think of anything that sounded good. So then my mind settled. Then I started thinking, well, what about the animal kingdom? And I thought about a bear, but then I thought bears are kind of stinky and lumbering, and that's not very romantic. And then I thought about a bird, kind of like that movie Lady Hawk from the 80s with Matthew Broderick. I really love that movie. And that would be cool. And the guy could be a bird, and he could soar out and, you know, sit on the girl's shoulder. But then when the bad guy came, the bird couldn't do very much. You know, he could like maybe talon his eyeballs or flap in his face. But other than that, not too much. So I was like, oh, I need a manly kind of an animal. And I thought about lion, but then the male lion sleeps like 23 and a half hours a day, and they're also kind of stinky, and I didn't want that. So that's when I get hit on tiger, and I was like, tiger's pretty, they're soft like a kitty cat, and there's romantic animal, and it's perfect. So I picked tiger, and then I was like, okay, so I have a tiger. I want to set this, I want to have a handsome prince and a tiger, so where am I going to go? And I thought, oh, it'll be Russia, because I thought that the white tiger came from Russia. I thought they were snow cats, that they were Siberian. And I started researching Russian castles and Russian princes and Russian stories and mythologies. And then I started researching the tiger, and I found out that I was mistaken, and white tigers do not abound in Russia as I had thought. And that most white tigers have Bengal tiger in them, which was interesting to me. And so I started researching India, and I was like, oh, India, I don't know. I'm a little intimidated by India. I'm not even crazy about Indian food. I don't know how I'm going to do this. But the more I learned about India and the more stories I found, the more myths I found about India, the more fascinating it was to me. And so it just India ended up being the setting. And it was perfect. It worked out which is exactly what I had hoped it would be. So that's how India came to be.
Okay, that's excellent. And I have a question from our side. This
Okay.
is about geek culture in general. I understand you've attended cons and you're completely aware of how geek culture is, and it's got a lot of critics saying that it's still too male dominated, despite the rise of a lot of more prominent, well-respected female authors. There's
Yeah.
still a lot of misogyny going on and sexism. And in your opinion, how do you think we can tackle the existing misogyny and make it a more comfortable place for girls to be fans of literary?
Right. Right. That's a hard one because, the culture that we have right now that's deciding all of the projects that are getting done and all of the things that they're showcasing the public is a very male-centric dominated culture. So it's a hard sell to go in and say, we're going to have, I mean, even with Harry Potter, J.K. Rowling, she wanted to be J.K. because she was afraid a woman wouldn't be able to sell a book. And that, to me, that's a horrible thing, horrible thought that you can't even put your own name on a book to sell it because boys wouldn't pick it up to read. So I think I think that it's baby steps. It's just, baby steps going little by little. And there's definitely been some people who have been very influential on showing the strength of women and women as heroic in Hollywood. And, Buffy was a big fan favorite. I'm a huge fan of Buffy, and having this young girl be the hero. And she was still very much a girl and very susceptible to, very vulnerable emotionally, but she was just so heroic, and I love her, and I love what Joss Whedon did with her, and I think he does a great thing with his female characters. But it's just, I think it's just hopefully pushing baby steps, and that's again a reason why I love the young adult literature and the young adult world, because the young adult books that are getting put into film, yes, there are still predominantly, if you're a male in young adult literature, you get more attention and you get your odds of getting a movie made are this much better. But you still see a lot of young adults women who are, showing that a heroine can lead a film just as successfully as a male. And Katniss is a great example of that. She is the star of that movie. There's no question she's the star of that movie. And so I think it's interesting that I think it's like finally, Hollywood is seeing that. And as much as I love like 007 movies, you almost never see a woman in there in any kind of a role that's other than being the arm candy. And so it's nice, it's really refreshing, and it's nice to see women coming into different things. I loved it when M became a woman. I thought that was great in the 007 movie saga. So I think it's just baby steps, and seeing that women they're equally as compelling, they're equally as watchable, and they're equally as strong, if not more so, in a lot of situations. So, I mean, yes, we might not have Superman's muscle, but there are other things that are really cool to watch. And so, like with the new Wonder Woman, I'm very excited about that. I'm excited about Wonder Woman.
I
She's
am
one.
too.
So.
In terms of like you mentioned, the Hunger Games, and even the one with Tricks in it. What's her name?
Divergent, yeah,
Yeah,
Divergent.
that one. Yes. So those are like raking in the money. I mean, so when it comes to showing gender equality on screen, how big a role do you think fans actually play?
How big a role do fans play? I think they play a big role. I mean, Hollywood basically runs on money, so money talks. I don't think anyone expected Twilight to do well at all, and they put very little money into the first film, and then it exploded, and then everybody's like, wait a second, girls go to see movies too. What? And so then let's make more and more movies. And so it kind of kicked off this thing about, girls have money and they will go see movies and they will drag their boyfriends to see those films. And you know, and it's great. The movies that are coming out are wonderful, and I'm very excited to see these girls in these roles, and it's refreshing to see more depth and more character and more life given to these roles that women play. And I think that, you know, I think that it's a wonderful thing. So.
Speaking of movies, we have a fan, Hallie Velasquez. She wants to know if there's been any development on the Tiger movies, specifically the cast.
Particularly the cast. There's always development, although it's very slow going. So they're still in the casting phase. I was talking before to the moderators about when Shakar Kapoor, the director, signed on. My fans heard about it before I did. They're like, I got all these tweets and all these messages like, oh, congratulations, you're new director. And I'm like, new director? What are you guys all talking about? I didn't have any idea. Thrilled, of course, with him. I think he's wonderful. But yeah, so I fully expect all my fans to actually hear about the casting choices before I do. And like, I'll wake up in the morning and I'll have all these messages in my inbox saying, oh, so-and-so was cast. Isn't this great? And I'll be like, what? Yeah, so you guys usually hear about it before I do. So if you've heard nothing, that means I've heard nothing. But yeah, right now they're working on the casting. That's pretty much as far as I know right now. But yes, the film is in good hands. I really love our movie director and our producers. I think they're fabulous guys who very, very dedicated to the Tigers. And they're gonna make it happen. Just wait.
Okay. So fans, you're probably gonna know before Colleen. So
Probably.
Okay, I'm gonna direct the questions a bit more towards the Pixar project,
Okay.
which is stopping violence against women. So, we also have a male role model section where we're doing a Pixar reveal. Funds are coming in, and I would like to ask you the question that, you know, what role do you think men can play in stopping violence against women? Who would you count as a male role model in this context?
Oh boy, those are two really good questions. Okay, so yes, I think men have more of a role in stopping violence against women than you would think they do. I think a lot of times the way we talk about women, the way we talk about each other, can often lead to our attitudes about how we treat one another. And so I think that yes, men, in the way they view women, in the way they treat women, in the way they talk to women, can have a very big, strong impact in how their sons treat women and talk to women, and how their daughters expect to be treated by men. And I think that there's a, you know, I mean, for me, I had a great daddy. He's passed away now. I had a great daddy, and he was very, very protective of his daughters. And he, you know, he made it very, very clear to any young man that we brought home, that we dated, that he would tolerate no harm coming to his children, to his daughters. And, you know, he's a big, scary guy. And so they listened. And I think a lot of that, you know, made us feel like we deserved to be treated properly. And so we expect that when we go out on dates, or when we, you know, have relationships with people. We expect that we have a certain expectation, because we know how our daddy treated our mom, and we have this expectation that this is what we want. And so I think, yeah, the way you, as a brother, how you take care of your sister, how you take care of your mother, I think those things are very, very important. And they give examples to your kids of how you treat other people. Yeah, so I think for me, you know, my role model, gosh, I don't even know enough about how Hollywood does things and what kind of a celebrity I'd pick, but boy.
Your dad can be your
I would say, yeah, dad's good. I would say there's a young man that I admire quite a bit. is Derek Huff on Dancing with the Stars. And not only is he a good-looking guy, which is great, but you know, I read his book recently where he talked about the cycle of abuse that he experienced from other people when he was a young man. And he has 3 sisters, and you see the way he watches people and how he takes care of his partner on the dancing program, as well as how he takes care of his sister and how they interact with each other. So I think he would be a good person to pick as a role model, I think. Sometimes, you know, it's hard to break out of that cycle when you've been in an abusive cycle, to break out and step above that and to change yourself and to not do that to someone else. And I think he's got a good perspective on it from reading his book. So that's who I just thought of the top of my head.
He sounds great. Okay.
Yeah.
We have a fan question from
Okay.
Brooke Bartha. Do you have any advice for aspiring younger writers, or any tips that they could use?
Yeah. So for me, when I'm trying to write, I try to set aside time to do that every day. I have a schedule. So for you, you know, if you're trying to build up a writing, you know, skills, it's good to have a scheduled time every day that you write. And it doesn't really matter how much, just that it's consistent. So I've heard some authors will use a timer. They turn on like an egg timer and just say, I'm going to write for 30 minutes or I'm going to write for an hour. For me, I write a word count. I set a word count per day goal. So it's about 2,500 words a day I try to write. But then once you've written a book, it's a lot. And I had to work up to that. I did not start at that. I started at maybe 300 words a day, and I've been building up over time to where I can get to about that point. But I know other authors that they'll write 5,000 words a day. So you know, it just varies. It depends on what you're able to do and how much time you're able to devote to it. And I would say the best writers are readers. So read everything in the genre that you're interested in. Read, take notes. I do too. I've got big fat books that I read, and I have sticky notes by my bed, and I just sticky note everything. And I think that's very important, because that's how you learn how to manipulate language and to create metaphor and simile, and those are very, very good things that are helpful. And then, you know, once you've got a book and you're ready to go, I'd say find a writing conference in your state and practice your elevator pitch, which is kind of like, my book is this meets this. And then, you know, make an appointment to go meet an agent. So I did everything kind of backwards, and I didn't know what I was doing. And so I think I got there the hard way. And I think there's a lot of easier ways to get there. And going to a writing conference would have been something that I would recommend highly if you have a book ready to go and you want to sell it. So.
Okay. Thanks for asking that question, Brooke. Next up, we have Tiffany Barta. I think she's related to Brooke. And it's about the boys in the 5-year series. So if the boys, Ren, Kishan, Amon, Aston, Ahomse, all met, do you think there would be like an intense manliness competition? Like the boys to prove who is more manly?
Oh, which boy is more manly? I don't think so. I don't think that Ren and Kishan actually face off thinking, hey, I'm more manly than you are. You know, at the heart of my boys in my books is that they're loving people. They're good people, and yes, they look nice, they look good, but at the same time, they love each other, and they don't want to hurt each other. And so that's always been important for me to show. So they're not as much in competition, although, you know, in the case of Kelsey and Yasubai, you have incidents where my 2 brothers were kind of butting heads over who loves this girl. But at the same time, there's a deep respect between these men, that they love one another, and that they want to do what's best, and they want each other to be happy at the end of the day. And so yeah, that's always been important for me. Now, who would win like a push-up competition? That I would probably have to give to Kishan. I don't know. In the Egypt series, Aston's more of a lover, and Amon's more of a thinker. And so in that series, it would probably be Amos. Amos would be the push-up winner guy in that one. So
Okay, I hope that answers Tiffany's question.
yes.
We've got another from Michaela Dent. So, would you ever consider doing a novella or pet story? He's such an important and interesting character.
A novella of who?
Pet. Sorry, how do you pronounce his name? The priest. Is
The
it
priest. Pet?
Pet? Yes.
Oh, maybe. I don't know. My novellas are kind of, I told my agent this a little while ago that when I write a novella, I want my novella to be a book. I don't want it to just be like, a bonus chapter or something. I would definitely write a bonus piece on Fett. You're going to get to know a lot more about Fett in Tiger's Dream. There's a lot of surprises coming in Tiger's Dream related to Fett. So you might feel very satisfied with your knowledge of Fett after you read Tiger's Dream. They'd be like, okay, I'm good. I don't need more about Fett now. But yeah, for me, when I write a novella, it's always very important that it's an actual book. So it has to have a beginning, a middle, and end. It has to have a romance. It has to have a villain. So maybe, but we'll see. I'm definitely open to more novellas in the Tiger series for sure. Yeah.
Why do you want your novellas to be novels? Do you feel novellas are not really satisfying?
Why do I want them to be? I want the reader to have a satisfying read. I do write a lot of bonus material that goes into bits and pieces of stuff here and there, and I like doing that for free. I just give that away for free. But I feel like if you're going to charge your reader for something, that has to be something substantial. So like the novella for the Reawakened series, Reignited, that's going to come out this summer, that one I've been telling my readers, if you skip this novella, you're really not going to know everything that's going on in this book, because in this series, because this is a very crucial piece of information. With Tiger's Promise, it wasn't as crucial. If you skip Tiger's Promise, you'll probably be fine. But this one in particular is a very pivotal piece of information. And so yeah, I just feel like, if you're gonna charge your reader to read something, that they should get something substantial and good and meaty out of that. And so yeah, so I wanted to set a precedent for myself that a novella, even though it's a short book, is still a book. I still wanted to have an arc to it. So
we have a question from Prisha Batra.
Okay.
So she wants to know, this is like asking your mother which child she loves the most, but which book, chapter, or parts are your favorite from the Tiger series?
Oh, my favorite book in the Tiger series is actually Tiger's Voyage, and it's not necessarily because I think that the story arc is better there than any other ones. I just have this really love affair with the ocean, and I kind of have a love fear of the ocean. And so with Tiger's Voyage, because it was my ocean themed book, my water themed book, I was able to put in all these cool the dragons in there, and the kraken and the sharks. So all these things that deathly frighten me were able to go into Tiger's Voyage, and so that one ended up being my favorite. It also happens to be the book that has the most angst in it and the most love stuff. So it was, in Tiger's Voyage, you have the opportunity for Ren and Kelsey to fall in love again, for Keyshawn and Kelsey to fall in love. I mean, there's a lot of love going on, a lot of angst and emotion, and then just, I love the adventure part. The adventure part of that book is my favorite of the series. It's just, I just love the idea of being on the ocean. I think it's super fun.
Okay. Thanks for asking the question, Prisha. So that is the last pen question. We're going back to our Pixel Project question.
Okay.
And we'd like to thank Colleen for being really supportive. And for our Read for Pixels campaign and our anti-violence against women work as a whole. And we'd like to know, like, why do you support the Pixel Project and the cause to end violence against women?
Wow, you know, I was lucky to grow up in a home where I had a large, I'm the oldest of 7 kids. And so I have a family that is very supportive and very sweet, very loving. And I was very lucky that I grew up with parents that were kind-hearted and, you know, wanted what was best for us and wanted us to be successful and to be happy. And there's a lot of people in the world that grow up in a situation very different from that. And it makes me sad because I have been blessed more than I can even explain to you in these wonderful relationships that I've had. And I can't, it's hard for me to wrap my head around a situation where a person is afraid of the person that they married or the person that is their parent. And it's just a very sad way to live. And it's something that I think, you know, if we know about it, we need to do something about that because it's not right. And so, yeah, this project is very, very close to my heart. You know, it's one that we can, you know, if we open our eyes, we can see and we can do something, we can act. And I think that's a very important thing to talk out about and to talk to people about, that it's okay and that we see you and we see what you're going through and we're going to help.
How do you think authors like yourself can best support efforts to end violence against women?
Oh, I think just like everybody else, I think it's making sure, well, we have a special responsibility as authors because people read what we write. And yes, books are art, but they're also very influential. And so, you know, always being aware that what we do, how we act, how we behave, and the things that we share and express, you know, are seen by other people and are mimicked by other people. And so, you know, we need to not only be aware of the choices that we make for ourselves and for our own family, but we need to be alert and aware of what is going on in other people's lives. And so, you know, being a real friend to people instead of just talking about, hey, you know, you're doing well, but actually try to pay attention to them, find out what's going on in their lives, and, you know, making sure that we're trustworthy and that we are reliable and that we are good friends and good caretakers of each other. I think that's very important, is we take care of each other, we take care of our family, we take care of our friends, we take care of strangers. So it's an attitude of that these people in the world are just as important to me as I am to myself. That these people are, that we're all brothers and sisters, you know, in this fight. We all want to rise up and take care of each other.
I know you're feeling a little tired out, Colleen, but do you think you could answer a couple more fan questions?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, we've got another one from Hallie Velasquez.
Okay.
So she says, Ren's poems have always brought her to tears, and she wants to know what was the inspiration behind them.
Oh boy, Ren's poems. I've always loved poetry. I'm a big Shakespeare fan, and so I love rhyming and poetry. My husband's a poet. He likes to write poetry as well. And yeah, I just, you know, when I thought about what kind of qualities and characteristics I wanted Ren to have, I thought it would be a very romantic notion to have this prince who lived hundreds and hundreds of years ago, who had a very tender soul, who, you know, would write poetry as opposed to go to war. And so he was, you know, Ren's poems are very important to me. There's I think the one poem from Kelsey in the book that I actually wrote myself 2 or 3 years before I even started writing Tiger's Curse. I was interpreting for a deaf student in school at the time. That was my job. And while they were taking a test, I sat there and started writing a poem. And that poem ended up in the Tiger series. So I've always liked poetry. I've always been fascinated by it. I don't think I'm by any means really great at it, but I like dabbling with it. And I like, you know, writing the spells in the Egypt book and writing the poems in the Tiger books. So those have been fun for me to dabble in. So it's been kind of my own little personal outlet.
We've got another question from Siobhan Cato. How did you create the character of Ren so perfectly? What
How did
inspired Ren's character?
what inspires Ren's character? You know what's funny is my husband and I, we just got to go to Brazil this fall, and I have Hola Brazil. So I have lots of Brazilian fans there who believe very strongly that Ren is inspired by my husband. So they all wanted to meet my husband, take pictures, and get his autograph in the book, which is hilarious to me. But you know, in actuality, Ren does have a lot of characteristics of my husband. So he likes poetry. My husband likes poetry. The first scene when Ren asked permission for Kelsey if he can kiss her, that came from our dating life. My husband asked for permission to kiss me the first time, and I said no, just like Kelsey did. So it wasn't romantic at all. So I've pulled pieces and bits and pieces of my husband and put him in there. My husband gives great massages like Ren does. You know, but he's a terrible gift giver. Ren is a great gift giver. So there's definitely some differences in there. My husband's short and balding, so doesn't have Ren's beautiful hair, but that's okay. So yeah, so there's some definite little pieces of inspiration there for Ren. Yes.
So the essence of him with your husband.
Yes, little pieces, bits and pieces there.
Okay, that's actually our last question for today. Thank you so much, fans, for participating, and thank you so much, Colleen, for attending. You've been so great. Your fans are really excited. I mean, there's still a lot more questions, and I'm so sorry that we couldn't get to them. But I mean, thanks for participating, you guys. Okay, I'm gonna put the screen back onto me for now.
Okay, well, thank you.
Okay. Colleen's still there, by the way, so don't worry about it. Okay, you guys. So as as we mentioned previously, Colleen has generously donated some goodie bags. The Tiger's Curse Feel Good Bundle, which has a limited edition Tiger's Curse set plus a Sephora sampler pack, has been picked up by Chanel Carter. But the Reawaken Traveler's Luxury Bundle is still available for you guys who are interested. So it's got a signed hardcover copy of Reawaken plus a bunch of awesome things for the stylish traveler, including a BCBG purse, an infinity scarf, sunglasses, a Maybelline travel pack, and comfy indoor slippers. So, okay. You guys, if you want to donate to get these goodies, you can go to Indiegogo at this address, http://is.gd/r4p Indiegogo IWD 2016. If you only have PayPal and no credit card, you can donate at http://is.gd/r4p razoo IWD 2016. And you can get a set of exclusive Read for Pixels wallpapers for your laptop, tablet, and smartphone. If you want to learn more about Read for Pixels, go to is.gd/readforpixels. To find out more about violence against women and what you can do about it, visit the Pixel Project's website at thepixelproject.net. And once again, to find out more about the Celebrity Male Role Model Pixel Reveal campaign, please visit reveal.thepixelproject.net to learn more, and please donate generously. Okay, I'm back, and we'd like to thank Colleen. And Colleen, do you want to say a little goodbye to your fans?
Sure.
Okay,
Okay,
you're
well,
on
thank you
screen now.
guys so much for joining us tonight. This has been a lot of fun, and go and donate. This is a great charity, so go and donate to this, and you guys take care, and I will see you again soon.
Okay, thanks. Okay, thanks so much, guys. I hope to see you guys in future Pixels Project sessions. So good night to everyone, or have a good day. So bye.
Bye.